Hi everyone, and welcome to the season finale of season 4. Today my guest is Lieve. So hi Lieve, would you like to introduce yourself to everyone?
Yes, hello, and hello everybody watching or listening. My name is Liva. I am the founder and the coach of The Grateful Beginning, which is my business. And it is my honor and privilege to be able to be joining here today. I am a coach working, I would say, mostly around alignment, energy work. Come from a background of more anxiety and mental health, and I'm sure we're going to talk about that. So it's kind of a broad perspective, but going more towards maybe more the spiritual world and alignment. Yes, so that is
We will
where I'm
talk
coming
about
from.
that some more. Yeah,
Oh,
absolutely. Well, I always start with the same question, and that is a sincere, how are you doing?
I'm really good, really good. I'm excited for Monday. Yeah.
Oh, that's always good. When you're excited for a Monday, that's a good sign.
Yes.
And as you said, you are the CEO of The Grateful Beginning, which started after probably many lessons in self-healing and growth. And could you tell a bit like how you got to where you are now?
Yeah, it's a bit funny because I I never thought that I would become a coach or that I would even start my own business. That was never in the cards
Yeah.
at all. But it's just like you said, it usually comes from your own self-healing journey, and that's exactly what happened for me. So if I go back like even 10 years or more, really all throughout my 20s, I was dealing quite heavily with anxiety and even depression and burnouts. And went in and out of therapy, which was helpful at the time to a certain extent. But I never really got to those deeper questions around self-worth and questions that many of us are struggling with that are
Yeah, those
deeper.
deeper layers.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah.
So that steered me more into the personal development industry, if you will, for just for me, for myself and my own journey. And the first thing that happened was that I was able to get rid of my anxiety and my panic attacks, which was a big deal for me. Yeah. And that happened quite quick. And I remember going into this was the first few months of 2020, but it was actually before the pandemic hit. So I got sort of a good start of that year. And whenever the pandemic hit, and I would talk to friends of mine or family or from really all over the world, what stood out for me was that I was doing very well compared to many others and compared to what would be almost expected based on my history with anxiety and depression.
Yeah.
And I started to just share. That was really how it started.
Yeah.
Share and give tips and motivate. And I like to talk to people. And I have probably quite a caring quality in me that made me have a lot of conversations. And I realized this fuels me. This really, this fuels my soul. And I think that's
this is a
the
talent.
first time. Yes, exactly. And I started to realize I need to actually take a step here and go more towards coaching this and teaching this because what I am doing works.
Yeah. And how did your anxiety start? Because I'm quite the same. I've struggled with severe phobias as well and panic attacks, and also took steps to heal myself. And I wonder how that started for you and how your healing journey went from there on.
I would say there's probably many steps that I could mention, but I think the most important part was to actually, this was also when I went deeper into personal development in the intellectual side, and I gained an intellectual awareness of how things actually were flowing and how everything was connected. And I think the first thing that stuck out for me was that I am in control of my thoughts. When I am in control of my thoughts, I can be in control of my emotions. I can choose my emotions.
Yeah. You have
And
so much control.
then, yes, and one line that has always sort of stuck with me since then, because of my history with panic attacks, that came seemingly from out of the blue.
Right. Yeah,
And
yeah, yeah.
if you know,
Yeah.
that I couldn't control them. And suddenly I understood that the panic attack, sort of the third in line, the thoughts and the feelings,
Hmm.
and the panic attack is actually just a physical symptom
Right.
of
Yeah.
my emotions. So
Yeah.
if I could somehow figure out a way to take control of my emotions
Hmm.
and take control of my thoughts,
Yeah.
and not for everything in my life, but more than anything, take control over my thoughts surrounding me. I've been teaching a lot
Right.
about self-image,
Yeah.
especially a little bit in the past and last year. But I would say that's probably the biggest thing, to actually gain an understanding that, hey, I'm in control here. There is
Yeah.
a way to take control of this before it becomes anxiety. Also,
Yeah.
I want to say one of the most important parts of this for me was to understand, or my history in therapy, and
Hmm.
I don't want to talk bad about therapy, because I needed it when I did
Yeah.
it, but it was always sort of working on that last stage, making the symptoms not as
Yeah.
bad. Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
And I didn't quite understand at the time. When you're
Mhm.
going through it, it's a lot to deal with. And I didn't fully
Yeah.
understand that if I can sort of get a couple of stages before that, if I can sort of be prepared,
Yeah.
they won't be necessarily the anxiety or panic
Yeah.
attack symptoms. I don't have to get that far. So
Yeah.
that's what I actually started. And the first things that I was coaching about, and the first courses I created, was more specifically around anxiety as well.
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
it really helped me just gain tools to recognize my own patterns, and recognize,
Hmm.
if this happens and this happens and this happens, it means I'm spiraling. And if I
Yeah.
can catch myself in the beginning of what could become a spiral, I can
Yeah.
actually prevent
Yeah.
the panic. Yeah.
Yeah. And usually the therapy is, like you said, it helps with, I would say, almost the basics. And when you have that
Yes.
under control and you feel a bit more, certain and self-secure, then you can start to dig deeper and see your patterns and recognize what your energy is doing, your thoughts are doing, and what effects that have on your anxiety. You can go deeper and know yourself on a deeper level.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
And you can
that's
imagine
essence.
probably
Yeah.
that. Yeah, and probably like you, when you start to find something that works.
Yeah.
I remember within 2 weeks of sort of recognizing my patterns, like, okay, this happens before this. So if I can catch myself here, this
Yeah.
won't happen. Then I won't
Yeah.
get this symptom. I remember within a 2 week period, if I recall correct,
Hmm.
I remember thinking, I haven't had a single one. And since then, I haven't had a single panic attack
Yeah.
at all. And once you find something like this, if you have it in you to share, you can't
Yeah.
help
Yeah, you're
but
like, oh my gosh, everyone
continue.
has to know about this.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah. So that's
it's like you
really
have a gold nugget
that
in
journey
your
really
hand.
took me into the business world to share
Yeah,
this.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Because like you, I'm quite a private and even a shy person, so it was never my intention to become a coach or put myself out there as like, oh my gosh, look what I know, you know.
Yes.
But when you find something that you're like, okay, this was my journey and I feel great now, so I want to share how I got from that low point to that high point. And
Yeah.
yeah, it would be almost like a shame to not share it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's exactly how I feel. It would be a shame to sit with this.
Yeah,
And that's how I felt in the beginning of the pandemic, when I started to talk to my friends and
yeah,
everywhere, that I can't sit in with this. In the beginning, I might feel like I was, maybe, am I overstepping? But then I thought, this needs to get out there.
yeah.
This definitely needs to get out there. And I must say, looking back, of anxiety and even trauma or depression and burnouts is the best thing that ever happened to me.
Oh, right. Yeah, it's you learn so much
Definitely.
from that time. And I talked to my mom just a few days ago, and I said, because of that phobia, because of and that phobia lasted for 10 years. So it was a long hard struggle. But because
Yeah.
of that, I get to do what I think I'm meant to do.
Yes,
Mhm.
exactly. I feel the same way. And I
Yes.
feel when you find that connection in your soul that, oh, this is my work, my
Hmm.
soul's work,
Right.
I notice now that I wouldn't be able to dig this deep and find it and feel anchored in it had
Hmm.
I not been put in a situation, if you will,
Yeah.
or been through depression and anxiety. I needed that to find a drive and to seek out answers that would take me here. I remember a specific time, the last time I think it was when I went to a psychotherapist,
Hmm.
and she told me basically that you you have to prepare yourself for life with anxiety, and that can be a good life too.
Mm. Right.
And even though that could hold some truth, I
Hmm.
thought, I'm not buying it.
Yeah.
I'm not buying, I'm not willing to settle where I am. I'm okay. So that's really when I remember feeling, okay, I'm going to have to seek out the answers myself.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, it's so
Led me here.
frustrating
And
when you hear a therapist who supposedly knows it all and is there to fix you say like,
yeah,
well, you're quite a difficult
yeah,
case, and maybe you should just get used to a life with anxiety. I'm like, wait a minute. No, that's not what I signed up for.
no, exactly. But I'm very grateful for that message now.
Yeah,
Very
exactly.
grateful because, yeah, like, when you find your soul's mission, that's all you ever
Exactly.
want to do. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's why we're here now having this conversation.
Yes.
And when people come to you for coaching, what is like the essence of what you teach them?
I would say the essence of what I teach now is to find alignment,
Hmm.
if I could put it in one word.
Hmm.
There's so much work in this uh, spiritual or personal growth industry that is centered around goals
Hmm.
and achieving something and getting somewhere. And
Yeah.
that's definitely a big part of what I do. But it's really important to me that you find the alignment first
Hmm.
within,
Yeah.
that you can feel aligned. And for those that maybe don't fully understand or recognize what that means, to me, alignment means to find a harmony or a balance within yourself where you feel seen,
Hmm.
you feel that peace that exists within you, and you're connected to your soul
Hmm.
and to your whole being.
Yeah.
And to me, that is more than only going after goals. I definitely think we need something to go after and stretch towards to expand. I think that is in our soul. And
Hmm.
that's definitely what I work towards. But to put it all in one word, alignment,
Hmm.
to find that alignment within, to find the wholeness within,
Hmm.
is probably the most important thing that I teach.
Hmm.
I had a conversation with last week with
Hmm.
some of my clients. I have a group program, and I talked to them about this. And one of the biggest lessons that I've got from all of this that I'm teaching, I
Hmm.
have many wonderful people in my life that love me, and I
Hmm.
feel their love.
Yeah.
But I've never felt a love deeper than the one that I've given myself.
Hmm.
The love, the way I love myself on that deep soul level.
Right.
And I'm not saying that I'm there every second of the day,
Hmm.
but when you get to the point, allowing yourself, setting yourself free through loving yourself, that is deeper than what anyone else could give me.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's
That
for
is
sure.
found through alignment. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. And does that also come with that sense of awareness that you are like more in control of yourself and of your
Oh,
emotions, you
definitely.
said? Hmm.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. For me, that journey of going deeper into what I call the divine world, what
Hmm.
some call spirituality, going more deeper into your soul,
Hmm.
it really started with me trying to figure out how could I go into a specific emotion,
Hmm.
what some would know as frequencies. And I worked a lot around frequency,
Hmm.
going into different frequencies, which is a big part of what I do as well.
Hmm.
I started to recognize that I can actually choose how I feel.
Hmm.
I am in control of that. And with that came I don't have to actually react to everything around me.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I can actually guard myself. I can be so centered in and feel so anchored in a feeling or in my soul's alignment. If I'm so anchored there,
Yeah,
whatever happens around me, I can allow that to be. I
yeah,
find that when I am in alignment anyway, it's more of a balance in my life throughout. But
yeah.
even when there are periods of contrast that will happen when you go after new levels in your life, as
Hmm.
long as I'm anchored into my soul and I feel that in me,
Yeah,
and that's where I'm anchored, I'm in control, no one else. I used to
yeah,
say I am the generator in my life.
yeah, exactly. And it's
Yeah.
also, she, like you said, you get to choose to respond, but you also get to choose how to respond, if you respond at all, of course.
Yes.
Yeah, and not necessarily like a situation. You can label it good or bad, but it's just your view of the situation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just being aware,
Yeah.
being
Oh
an
yeah.
observer, and
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. I always say it always starts with awareness, and then you go from there.
exactly. I totally agree. Yeah.
And when you are, say, you're mentally in a low state, what is your best, I'll almost say technique or tool, or how you get yourself out of that place?
That is actually one of the concepts that I went really deep into last year. One of the concepts that really I got so much guidance around. So I'm very happy that you asked that question actually. This is what I call contrast. Whenever
Mhm.
I'm in a low state, or if something is thrown at me,
Mhm.
or yeah, the number one way for me to deal with that is saying thank you,
Mm. Yeah.
embrace it.
Yeah.
Because if you resist it or if you fight it, it's going to
Yeah.
stay there longer.
Yeah.
And you can't push away feelings that is really coming from within. They will always seek back to you.
Oh
So at
yeah, and they
some
will come
point,
back harder and faster and louder until you hear them and acknowledge them.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So I work through this. The number one thing is embrace it.
Hmm.
Embrace it.
Yeah.
And sometimes if I go through something challenging, or if I'm in more in a lower state and I forget for a few moments or hours or a day or so,
Hmm.
and then I recognize, what am I doing? How do I feel? How does my nervous system feel right now?
Yeah.
What's the emotion I hold?
Yeah.
I'm resisting a little bit.
Hmm.
Okay, let's just breathe. All right, thank you. Thank you for this. There's a message in this that I need
Yeah, exactly.
right
Your brain
now.
or
There's
your
a
body
reason.
is telling you something.
Exactly. And there's a reason this happens now.
Hmm.
Apparently, I'm ready for the message. I'm ready for my next level. So
Hmm.
I'm ready for the message that is
Yeah.
incorporated in this. So let me just embrace it first and say thank you. That's the
Yeah.
number one way that
Hmm.
I do. And then you have practical tools that I use. I meditate every single day.
Hmm.
That's to detach from, well, what's going on around me, detach from emotions, and even going even deeper, detach from my human form.
Right.
That's a really good way. And journaling as well. I have one of my journals right beside me. Just journal out your thoughts, journal out how you feel, journal about the topic you're maybe worried about, or just get it out. Because as I learned from the very beginning about anxiety,
Hmm.
anxiety is suppressed emotions. And if I can find a way to express them,
Yeah.
write it out, talk it out, scream it out, whatever it is, then
Yeah.
that
Whatever
helps.
helps. Yeah.
Yes.
Exactly. Move. Move your
Move,
body.
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not
Don't allow it
stand
to
there
stay
thinking
stuck.
like, whoo. All the little things can help as well. Yeah. And besides like meditation, like and journaling, do you have any other like ways of staying mentally healthy and doing self-love and self-care?
I would say also one of the things that I really learned from anxiety, I'm glad we started with that, because so much of my journey
Hmm.
comes from that beginning. One of the things I learned is that when you're struggling with anxiety, you often almost develop an anxiety about the anxiety because
Right.
you're,
Yeah.
yeah, you won't be ambushed, if you will.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what you want to
So you're
get
even
away from.
like alert about alertness almost.
Exactly, yes.
Yeah.
So what I learned is that you need to have something that you are more emotionally involved with
Mm-hmm.
than the fear.
Mm.
And to me, that is self-love, to allow myself to transform,
Mm-hmm.
to
Yeah.
allow myself, set myself free through working or researching
Mm-hmm.
or expressing
Mm-hmm.
my mission. For me, that is often my business, or researching or coaching or expressing myself in some way, in something, in an area or a topic that I'm more emotionally involved in
Mm.
than low state or in anxiety, when I had that more back then.
Yeah.
So to me, it's I would say a mix between listening to your body. What do I need? Do I actually just need to rest? I'm
Mm-hmm.
very big on the more nurturing, creative, feminine energy. Allow yourself to slow down.
Mm-hmm.
One of the
Yeah.
most important lessons I've ever learned.
Yeah.
Get
Yeah.
away from that always action mode stage.
Yeah.
Calm down and nurture yourself. And then after you've done that, allow yourself to go after a desire or seek out and express something that you desire to achieve, something you desire to learn about yourself,
Mm-hmm.
so that you can be more emotionally involved in that than
Yeah.
your fear or your stuckness or
Mm-hmm.
state. Yeah.
Yeah. Because I know when you're in that anxiety, it's hard to look to the future, set goals for yourself because you're so engulfed in it, you don't look much further ahead than maybe a day, a week, or. But I remember making a vision board for myself with goals that I want to achieve within 5 years. And I thought, okay, it's kind of crazy because I wanted to go to Paris and I had even struggles to go outside my house. So, but a few
Yeah.
years later, I went to Paris. So that was my first trip abroad. And so
Yeah.
it's really important that even when you're full of anxiety, to create, like you said, a vision for yourself, something that you can almost pull yourself out of that dark hole that you're in. So you can look further than just your anxiety because you are so much more than just your anxiety.
Oh, most definitely. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's so cool to hear that you say that, because to have a vision that you can get emotionally involved in is
Mhm.
so important, to know where you're headed. Your awareness
Mhm.
directs where your energy goes, and where your
Yeah.
energy goes is what you're going to feel. Your
Yeah.
energy allows you to feel. I would also say, for anyone who is more in what you may call survival mode or deep
Mhm.
anxiety, or more of that I can't create because this is not a creative state,
Mhm.
first allow yourself to calm down. I just had a lesson with a few of my clients about emotional intelligence,
Mhm.
understanding what you actually need. And
Yeah.
I don't think it's I think it's a bit ignorant to tell anyone, go after your big goal, stretch, go all in, if
Yeah.
you're in a state of complete survival mode or in
Yeah.
complete anxiety. The
Yeah.
first thing is to calm down.
Yeah.
And often that might actually be even recognizing what your pattern is, because
Mhm.
the last thing you want to do when you're having anxiety is usually to calm down. You want to actually be busy so you don't have to feel. At least
Yeah.
that's my experience. I would have
Distraction.
my
Yeah.
calendar booked so
Yeah.
I wouldn't have to feel what I was feeling. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. So stress what's going
So
on.
that's
Just keep
actually
your
the
mind
first
busy.
thing, recognizing that I, yes, and you need
Yeah.
to just get your nervous system back
Oh yeah.
in a more calm state.
Yeah.
And often that is not having anything big to accomplish. It could be a very, very helpful thing to do that some even would say is boring. Boring is
Mhm.
good in
Oh yeah.
that state of survival mode.
Absolutely.
Puzzles. Yeah,
Mm.
buy a
Yeah.
big puzzle. Just
Yeah.
sit for hours and recognize how your nervous system is just calming down. Or knitting, something that I love to do is knitting.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Just even to get to a certain product or an end result, but knitting just for the sake of it, it calms you down
Yeah.
to take you
Exactly.
out of the survival mode. Yeah.
Yeah. And then for me, what always helped was doing breathing exercises and meditating, just to keep, like you said, that calmness, because there's so much stimulation going on, and
Yeah.
your whole body, your soul, everything within you is just crying for some rest and relief.
Yeah. And even sometimes if you're in a really deep sense of anxiety, going straight to meditation might feel like a challenge
Oh,
because
yeah,
it's complete silence often.
yeah,
So if you could just take it gradually and maybe then go for a walk outside, nature is perfect in that slow flow of energy, or sit
yeah,
down and knit
yeah,
or bake something or do something that is an easy task, but
yeah,
it's not an accomplishment of any
yeah,
sort, if you will. It's more of just to calm down and go small.
yeah, yeah. That's important. Start small. And because, like
Start
I
small.
said, because of my anxiety, I could hardly walk out my door. So when I reached the end of the street, I was already like, oh, yes, I got a bit further. So your small steps are essential when it comes to that.
Yeah,
And celebrate those
definitely.
small steps as well.
Yeah. Actually, now that you mentioned celebrating, that's one of the things that I'm doing this year.
Mm-hmm.
So I just would like to share this tip because I think it's a bit fun. It's not my tip. I don't remember where I got it from, but a really cool thing, and I don't have it here right now, but get a jar or a
Mm-hmm.
box of some sort.
Yeah.
And every single day of the year, you write down some sort of a small win, a
Oh,
small
yeah.
celebration.
Mm-hmm.
Every single day of the year. We've just started this year.
Yeah.
Put a note in the box or in
Mm-hmm.
that container. And by
Yeah.
the end of the year, you will have 365 wins
Oh, yeah. That's a
that
lot
you
to
can look back
celebrate.
at. Yes. And it
Yeah.
doesn't have to be a big thing, but it's just today I actually took really great care of myself, or
Mm-hmm.
today I took a big step towards my goal. Maybe that's the thing. Or
Mm-hmm.
maybe today I had a lovely conversation with someone and I was vulnerable. And
Mm-hmm.
that felt like a victory to me.
Yeah.
Or I was productive, whatever it is that made you feel good. A
Yeah.
win to me is when you feel good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
A win or a victory or celebration is not something that this should be a success or this is a win compared to what others
Yeah.
think we win. How do I feel when I
Mm-hmm.
did this?
Yeah.
That's a win to me. So
Absolutely.
that's just a little tip
Yeah.
that I would encourage anybody to try out.
Yeah. And when you started your business, was there ever a sense of overwhelm, like, oh my gosh, can I really do this? And how, if so, how did you handle that?
Many times. Many times. I must say, I think had I known now
Mhm.
or in the middle of the hard times, if I'd known how challenging it would be at times, I'm not sure I would have started. So I'm grateful
Yeah,
that I don't know every single step. I'm
exactly.
grateful that I don't know how things will work out.
Mm,
I think whenever I'm going through a challenging time, it's once again going back through how I handle contrasts, saying,
mm,
okay, let me breathe and let me be grateful for this. This, I know my mission and my business that's aligned in my soul. I know I'm going to do this anyway. I've gotten
mm,
so much guidance from within saying that this is the mission for me. This is aligned with my soul. So I'm not going to be able to hide from that anyway. So if I
mm,
can embrace it and give myself some grace,
mm.
take a day off and do a puzzle if that's needed, go
Yeah,
for a walk. That definitely helps.
yeah.
Another trick that I do that I started to do last year, it would be now, yeah, in 2022, is instead of scheduling my day based on my action steps or what I do, I schedule my day after when I'm going to rest.
Oh, good one.
And it changed the game, let me tell you. Because for me, I needed a lot of feminine energy.
Mhm.
I've been working so much in that masculine energy, or which
Yeah,
I also love, but it was too much. I needed to find more of the balance of
yeah.
nurturing myself,
Mhm.
seeing myself. And that means I need rest
Mhm.
and I need to actually schedule that in. So that's a priority before I schedule in my activities or
Yeah.
even my coaching clients, even before my work in my business. I know when I'm going to meditate in the day. I know when I'm going to rest in the day.
Mm.
And then I book in my clients after that.
Oh, perfect. It's a combination of work and self-love.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. It's all about balance, right?
Yeah. It really is.
Yeah. Well, my last question is also always the same, and that is, when are you at your happiest?
When I am the happiest?
Mm-hmm.
That's a good question. Either in the middle of a coaching session, usually.
Yeah.
It fills my soul.
Mhm.
Either that or when I am completely all by myself
Mhm.
in the woods, usually. And I'm
Mhm.
just allowing myself to be anchored in. Those
Mhm.
two, the balance of those two, I would say.
Oh, that's a perfect balance, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Lieve, for today. It was such a joy
Thank
to
you.
talk to you.
Yes, I enjoyed it. Thank you so much.